Hello, Guardians, and welcome to Destiny Reset, episode 115. This podcast is about anything and everything related to Destiny 2, the game. If you love playing Destiny 2 as much as we do, you're in the right place. This reset, we finally welcome back ImTheBlueRanger, as we talk about the faction rally, dip our toes into where Destiny 2 should head next, and finally hash out our opinions on the Leviathan raid. Hello, Guardians, and welcome. It's CyborgSasquatch, and I am here today, this week, with ImTheBlueRanger. Welcome back.
Hey, I'm back. Hi, everyone.
The prodigal son returns.
Is that what they're called? Who came up with that?
Just trying to make it dramatic.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have returned.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
Huzzah. I've been really bored lately. I haven't had a whole lot to do. Wait, what? Just kidding. Destiny 2
JK,
came out.
what is life?
What's sleep? I haven't slept. Did someone send help? I'm falling apart, man.
Someone send help and more energy drinks.
Dude, no more energy drinks.
No more energy drinks, please.
Have I mentioned how awful Rockstar energy drinks are? I'm sorry. This is my own personal opinion. This is not the opinion of the Destiny Reset podcast. Rockstar Energy makes terrible drinks.
I've grown quite fond of them. My wife actually texted me at the store yesterday. She was like, "Do you need more Rockstars?"
No, it means you need to stop. If you're starting to enjoy that, because like I've drank energy drinks, I think Rockstar makes the worst energy drinks, and if you're starting to like them, you got back off, man. You've gone too far.
Yeah, I probably just don't. I don't know up from down anymore. Well, our regular co-host AER0KNIGHT is out for the week, so this week ImTheBlueRanger is filling in, and what a great week for it because we're going to talk about the Leviathan raid this week, and I haven't done the raid yet. You didn't tell me that. Oh, I thought you did.
Oh no, I haven't gotten D2 yet.
So prepare for an hour of just me this week. I'm the Blue Ranger. Thanks for coming by.
It was a pleasure, man. It was great. Okay, sorry.
Okay. JK.
Yeah, JK.
You've been raiding a lot.
Yeah.
Let's get this show on the road. No announcements this week. Nothing to hear here. So let's get into some news. Let's talk about this week at Bungie. Shall we? This week at Bungie, there's a bunch of cat pictures hidden. So many cat pictures.
I never went and found them.
I found like 5.
I heard about it. Like on Twitter, someone's like, "Why is this a link?" Oh, and yeah.
But this has been going on for a long time, like years.
What?
They have been hiding cat pictures in the TWAB for a long time. It's not every single week, but I can remember like year 2 Destiny finding these links of cat pictures.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't know. I've never been one to really dive into the TWAB because I listen to 14 podcasts. Not anymore.
That's understandable.
I used to, until I found Destiny Reset podcast. Now I listen to one.
Hoo-yah!
Haha! But it was just one of those things where if I read through this, then I had nothing new to look forward to. So.
That's true. Well, anyways, besides the cat pictures, they talked a little bit about the sandbox here. They invited Mr. John Wisniewski to give us some feedback. The quote, "We asked senior designer John Wisniewski to give us a brief update on their mission to keep your box full of sand fun." John Wisniewski: "Hello, Guardians. Since the launch of Destiny 2, we've been reading your feedback, spectating streams, and watching YouTube videos. Very recently, we received our first real batch of player data from our analytics team. We've also been shoulder to shoulder with you in the trenches daily, playing the ever-loving crud out of this game. We're not ready to go into detail about any weapon or ability tuning at this point, but there is an ongoing process in play. So we did want to drop a quick line and say, we have heard your feedback. Thank you. Destiny 2 will get updates that tune the sandbox experience. We are aware of MIDA multi-tool's popularity and are looking at it very closely. It is popular, but according to our data, There are options out there that match or exceed its effectiveness in all activities. Have you found one? And on and on. So, yeah, there's going to be obviously some tuning coming up. What do you think is going to be on the chopping block, Blue?
Mida. Wait, what? No, I really
They're saying maybe not Mida.
I know that's what they're saying. My quick background on the Mida, my opinion on the Mida, is it should have never come to Destiny 2, at least not as quickly as it did, and it shouldn't have been so readily available, because not that I'm saying it's the most overpowered. In fact, I've tweeted, I don't think it's overpowered, I don't think it needs a nerf. My whole thing was that because it was so readily...
Mida crutch tool?
Kinda. I mean, it was your highest light level when you got it, in all likelihood. Yeah. Actually, because it was an exotic, it was absolutely your highest light level, regardless of when you opened it. It was at least as high as you are now. At that time. Exactly. When you got it, it was the highest. If you open it up today and you're 305, it'll probably be 305 when you open it. Like, it is gonna be, because it's an exotic. And so it was your highest light, so everyone immediately used it. Everyone's comfortable with it from 3 years of use. It's a year one weapon. It's not something that was new.
And it's so, copy paste. I mean, it feels exactly like year 2 Mida. Not even year 3
with the high
Mida.
Caliber rounds, and especially with the fact that the trials has been these long range maps, you know, it was a perfect storm. And I'm hoping that more people will put it down and try other weapons. I found a random scout rifle, I can't remember the name of it, that I started using in PvP that it felt great. And I'm like, oh man, see, there's other options out there, and I don't know. But
Nameless Midnight is a great alternative.
Yes. Nameless Midnight has been great. This particular one is the Call to Serve. I was playing with the Call to Serve, and it felt really good too.
Is that an energy weapon?
No, kinetic.
Kinetic.
It was a kinetic, and it just the way it recoils and the way it sounds and the way it shoots, the fire rate, it just kind of had that PvP feel to it. Mm-hmm. It was nice. So check it out if you're really into your Mida.
Alternatives to Mida.
As far as what's on the chopping block, I'm not having issues with like anything, except the I hate to admit it because I'm a Titan, but the pulse grenades. I mean,
pulse grenades. I've heard complaints because of the tick. It's like pew 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 pew. Like
you can throw one on
second, it feels like.
What is it? The capture point in Countdown, and leave it there. If you're using that top tree that has extra, longevity on those pulse weapons. It'll run forever, and if you just throw it on there when the other team gets close, they can't touch it. There's nothing they can do, and it gets really annoying. So I think that those might see a little bit of a change, especially considering how much damage they do on raid bosses and stuff.
Yeah, they are very effective. That's pretty much all I use, because I have a Titan and a Warlock, and I'm running Arc classes in the final boss with Calus every week, and pulse grenades are where it's at, man.
The Prestige Nightfall this week, double pulse grenades on a Titan. I didn't fire my weapon. It came back every 4 seconds. The other one started recharging the second you threw the first one. It was ridiculous. Like, why would you even fire a gun? And so I hate to admit it, because I love my pulse grenades. I love my Striker Titan, but I can't see them just overlooking the pulse grenades right now.
Yeah, it could get tuned up. I think those are definitely in the running to be adjusted. I can't think of anything that stands way out as being a real problem. I could probably give you a laundry list of exotics that could probably use a buff.
I was gonna say we're talking nerfs right now. Hand cannons and pulse rifles need a buff across the board.
Pulse's TTK are pretty slow. I've been looking at numbers. I've been crunching the numbers.
I'm crunching the numbers, man.
I've been deep in those numbers, man, and just you gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers.
Those are rookie numbers, man. No, I just sort of, I feel if I have a pulse rifle or a hand cannon on, I cannot compete. Even the top tier ones. And yes, there's going to be players out there that disagree with all of these comments that both of us are making because they've made it work for them. Awesome. But you got to remember, there's millions of people playing this game every single day, and not everyone is a top tier player like myself.
Welcome to 2 hours of where the only opinions that matter are ours.
Ha! And you can't turn this off because we're in your brain.
You'll never escape. Hand cannons, yeah. I like hand cannons in PvE.
Yeah, oh, that's all I use.
The exotic hand cannon, what is the name?
Sturm?
No. The really fun one that explodes people.
There's a really fun one that
Let
explodes
me pull up
people.
Destiny Item Manager. Hold on. Look at my inventory. So yeah, this is nothing new, but I did this for 3 years in Destiny 1. I just can't remember the name of crap. If I'm in the game, I'll remember. So we're talking about Sunshot. Sunshot is solid as a rock. I didn't get it for a little while, for the first couple weeks, because I didn't choose it for my Warlock when you get given those 3 choices, but then I chose it on my Titan and started having a blast.
Yeah, it's a fun weapon.
I very foolishly chose Graviton Lance, I believe, which is a terrible, terrible gun. Just the worst.
I hate it when you're playing the story. In fact, I thought it was really, really useful when you're playing through the story the first time. Haven't touched it since, though. So...
Yeah, well, here's the thing. The math on this gun. The perk on Graviton Lance is that you get additional damage on the last burst, I think. And what actually happens is it doesn't do, the first 2 bursts are not average damage. What it's doing is just staggering the normal amount of damage. So you do a lower amount, and then the third burst does a higher amount. But out of those 3 bursts, it's still an average amount of damage for that pulse rifle.
I don't think it's burst. I think it's the third shot in the 3 shots. That's why the way it sounds.
However it is. Yeah. It's third shot of a burst. Rips a hole through space-time, doing high damage and recoil with no fall-off. That's the only redeeming quality of that last bullet, is there's no damage fall-off. But that's 1 round of a burst.
This is true. Yeah.
Anyways. So there's guns and armors like that I think could use some help. Because they're not worth using at all. Like, they don't have any. Skyburner's Oath is one of them. The only thing that gun does well is shoot through phalanx shields, and it's so situational. I'd rather have something else.
I keep using it, like, hoping to enjoy it.
I did that for like 3 days, and I gave up.
Because, I ADS on everything. Maybe that's just because of the PUBG in me or something, but I ADS on everything, and so it shoots slow. You have to hit every single shot for it to be even kind of effective, and I don't know. And without the skin on it, it's ugly.
It is, yeah. I got the skin on it, and it looks cooler, but...
Yeah.
Well, so we've got a sandbox tune-up to look forward to. I don't know how far out this is going to be. It could be like 2 to 4 weeks, if I had to guess, but we'll find out. Hopefully in time before before everybody rolls out. Patch notes preview. Next Tuesday, October 3rd, we're deploying hotfix 1.0.3.1.
That's today.
That's correct. When you're listening to this, it will be live. We're recording on a Sunday. These are some important fixes here. I'm going to read these. Fixed an issue in which players could lose access to the Veterans Transmat effect by deleting characters. Fixed an issue in which clan engrams would grant Trials of the Nine and raid rewards at only 10 power. Who'd have thought that was a bug?
Yeah, I didn't think that was a bug. When I saw that, I was like, what?
This is what, like, totally made us feel okay about these packages, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, that was a mistake."
They totally could have let that run. I don't understand.
Apparently,
like I was telling people, oh yeah, they only drop at 10 because you didn't earn them, so you got to give them up. You can still use the gun, but it's not going to help you. Yeah, you're not going to be able to.
You don't progress.
That's kind of a sad point in the game, though, if I got to be honest. The raid weapons are just skins if they're not high light level. There's just no fate bringers in this game. There isn't. It sucks, but as they are still cool weapons, and it's cool that people can get their hands on them. But if they drop at like power level, power engram levels, that's gonna really tick a lot of people off.
Oh yeah. I think the only respite left in that system is that you don't get armor, which is tough to get as it is from the raid, at least. Yeah.
I ran one today. I got 0 armor.
Yeah, I didn't get anything either for one run this week. Next, fixed an issue in which progress for the exotic quest step His Highness's Seal was not incrementing properly. We talked about this last week. Quest progress will still increment by 1, but the quest step now only requires 10 seals to be collected. So I guess that's about 10 activities, 2.5 weeks. Or I think the Castellum stuff counts too, right? When you run the flags.
I don't know. I haven't done any of this quest, so I have no idea.
Okay.
Like
you don't,
I know
you don't have the cool shotgun yet?
I do not have the cool shotgun yet. It arguably the only thing in Destiny besides the tractor cannon that I do not have.
You got to run a strike at one point that is basically a prestige nightfall.
Oh, we tried. That was where we stopped.
Oh, okay.
That was week 1 after we beat the raid. We're like, let's go get this gun now. Oh, nope, never mind.
We got it in like 7 seconds left. I mean, it was.
That's what I've heard
ridiculous.
From everyone, that they were down to the seconds.
It was the week that, and I can't even remember the name of this strike because I've literally only played it in Nightfalls. I've never gotten this strike to pod.
Yeah,
it was the one with the Cabal.
Yeah, it's the Cabal one. I can't remember now.
Yeah, see, it just doesn't come up in the playlist.
Yeah. I think I've done it once outside of a Nightfall, but I've also run a large number of strikes. So
that's good. Other issues, fixed an issue in which raid milestones would not show up for some players after the weekly reset. And then finally, fixed issues in which players could enter a state where they are continuously killed or unable to resurrect if encounter complete and failure events occurred simultaneously. This happened to us at Gauntlet.
Dude, this has happened to us so many times, and it is the worst.
You just have to leave.
Yeah, you just have to leave, and it's sometimes annoying because you have to do the whole
Castellum again.
Castellum, or you have to run through the bottom, and not everyone knows how to run through the bottom, and if you have to go through the fans, that can be a whole ordeal if somebody doesn't know how to get through the fans.
Dude. And I know. Yeah, this happened. It was pretty funny. I've seen it happen to other people in that encounter. That's usually where it's going to happen.
Question before we go any further here in this here podcast, what's the spoiler rating on this podcast before I run my mouth too much?
0.2.
0.2. Okay, look out, guys. It's a 0.2 spoiler rating, so good?
I mean, you asked. You wanted like a rating, like a quality rating. I didn't have a rubric. You could have
said
ready.
Like orange, and I would have been like, oh, okay.
Threat level midnight.
Level midnight.
Moving forward.
You didn't answer my question, though. What like, are we spoiling stuff?
Well, we're going to be talking about the raid this week, so if you haven't run the raid, come back later. We're going to talk about all aspects of the raid this week. It's all on the table. Capiche?
Good stuff.
All right.
Good. I just didn't want to like spoil stuff for people to have to be like, "This Blue Ranger guy's the worst."
Completely fair. I should have said an announcements or something, but if you didn't catch on when I said we're going to talk about the raid this week, can't help you.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll run your show and then bump my glasses into the microphone. Sorry about that.
So they talk. All right, what's up, Doc? They talk about this maintenance going to go down Tuesday, beginning at 8 a.m. Pacific. And how long does this go on? Supposed to complete at 12 p.m. Pacific, so it's that usual
3 p.m. Pacific.
Right. It
Just
seemed
by the
almost
trend.
every time it's gone at least a few hours late. Have you heard about this PlayStation 4 crash issue?
I've heard it's a PS4 Pro crash issue. I have not had the game. I've played, according to Wasted on Destiny, I have played 48 hours since launch on my PS4. It has never crashed. So I think it's a PS4 Pro thing. That's what I've heard in other places.
Paul Tassi actually put up an article about this weekend because he was so perturbed. But there's crashing, the game client crashing, and then inability to load into the tower, quote unquote. Without the game crashing for long period, like hours trying to get into the tower.
Oh, wow.
Can't do it. So there's that PlayStation exclusive for you. Yeah, so they're working on that. And then they're also mentioned Cade Stash, Lost Sector, and Planetary Chest reward issues. We're investigating reports of players opening rewards chests and not receiving loot. If you're encountering this issue, please post a report to the help forum detailing the following. Which type of chest did not grant rewards? Had you interacted with alternate chests or planetary materials prior to this issue occurring? So this was like a huge salty contentional issue on Reddit over the past couple of weeks where, so there's this invisible chest cooldown where you can't loot too many chests at once when you're on a planet. Which I have an issue with just in and of itself. But then what's happening is people are trying to open the Cade Stash chests, which, you know, have a possibility at really nice rewards, and just nothing comes out.
I mean, I opened my last one on PlayStation today. No other chests opened around them. Like, I just landed on the planet, ran over, opened the chest. Nothing.
Yeah, I had the same thing happen last week. My last chest. Went to find it. I had been in the place for a while, but I know I hadn't opened a chest for at least 5 minutes because I was really dumb and couldn't find the thing for a long time. So the cooldown had to be cooled. But yeah, so please post in the help forum if you're experiencing this issue so they can help resolve it. And then this is another problem for many of the Leviathan raid keys. Last week they had mentioned if you started a new character after running the raid in a week and had not turned in your keys, when you would start that character, it would remove your raid keys from inventory. They'd go bye-bye. They now are saying that just signing in with another character, if they had not been in since the reset, will remove those keys. So you gotta be super careful here. So make sure you've signed in with all your characters before you run the raid. That's probably the best advice I could give you.
Yeah, no kidding.
That'd be pretty stinky. I mean, the keys aren't, really you're really just hoping for a chance at an exotic with these keys.
More or less, yeah. Well, you also get tokens, and if you hit all the chests and you complete the entire raid, then you'll get 2 more pieces of gear from those tokens.
That's true.
If you go to the vendor.
That's true.
To me, that's where, because I've run this raid so many times, I swear if it gives me 1 more sword.
Dude, all I get are duplicates from the vendor. I don't get anything new.
Yeah, I don't know that I've gotten anything new from the vendor either, now that I'm thinking about it, but I've run it a bunch, so I'm not sure.
You probably have a hard time keeping up, but I just get the same stuff over and over.
I've run the raid like 15 times, 20 times now or something like that, and I still don't have the pulse rifle. I've never, and I just got the SMG
I got
yesterday.
one, and then I just started getting it over and over. And I finally got the scout for the first time last
you want one
night.
of mine?
I think I have all the weapons except the stuff that can't drop or seldomly drops now. I don't have the hand cannon.
You know, the hand cannon and the sniper.
I got the sniper actually this week.
Oh wow, really?
It's dope.
I don't. Yeah. It's become a running joke that I get the sword every single raid at least once.
I've only had one drop.
I had hyped. 3 drop in a single raid earlier this week.
Wow.
The first one we ran. Yeah, it was either 2 or 3. No, I got 2 in the raid and I got another one from the vendor.
So the sword is definitely the best PvE sword in the game. Because
hands down.
It gives the 2 best perks from an individual sword and smashes them into one sword.
Oh, absolutely. Not knocking the sword in terms of its quality one bit, but when you have a 305 raid sword, I don't need 7 or 8 more of them. I'm all set. Thanks, Calus. Appreciate it, man.
Don't you want some legendary shots?
I don't. No, I have 900 of them. I'm all set.
Good lordy. Blue's been playing this game a lot.
I don't want to talk about it. Actually, I do. That's why I'm here, but still.
All right, so those were some of the Destiny player support issues going on. Keep an eye on those issues. Hopefully they'll resolve them pretty soon. They've been staying on top of this stuff kind of each week, it seems, kind of knocking out some of these major items, these bugs. And then we had Movie of the Week. Everybody's on that tractor cannon life, dude.
Give me one, please. For the love of God, RNG, please hook me up.
I got mine like the first week, and
still waiting. I'm okay with the fact that I'm still waiting. For the record,
because it means there's something to look forward to.
Oh yeah,
brought in a Crucible, figured out how to use it, and saw I was like, this will become a thing eventually. Like enough people get it, and it seems like that's the case. People are starting to get it.
I haven't been hit by one yet. None of my friends have used it yet. Like, it's a thing in the game, and I know people have it, and I know people who, like, that have played with it and stuff, but I've never run into one in the wild. I don't have one myself. Like, it's really bizarre.
I haven't had anybody bring one out in the Crucible, but if you're not familiar, we're talking about the tractor cannon, which is a power weapon that its fire, its ability, basically is like a force push.
It's Lucio's gun from Overwatch, if you're familiar with Lucio.
There you go. Yeah, it just pushes your enemies away, which if you use it to your advantage, you can either shoot them off the map or hit them really hard against walls and kill them. Think phalanx, you know?
It's a cool weapon.
It is cool. It's unique for sure. What I don't get is the first time we saw this was in the Destiny 2 PvP trailer a couple weeks before the game dropped. And the way they cut that trailer made it seem like that gun dropped some kind of like black hole or something.
Oh, I remember you being all excited about a black hole gun.
Yeah. And I guess it was just the way they cut it, because it had to be like a Nova bomb or something. But you know, the warlock like comes down, he lands with it, like kills 4 guardians somehow with it. I don't know how. Maybe I don't know. It didn't make sense the way it was cut.
Wait, you can kill 4 guardians at once in this game? Sorry.
I guess. I don't know. If you look at the movie of the week, there's a 4-man kill shoulder charge. So
that's true.
That's a thing.
I gotta be honest, though, when it comes to the movie of the week, the last one is my favorite, because those are the movies of the week that, like, as a YouTuber, as a guy who likes making not montages, but YouTube videos with Destiny weapons, I appreciate the winner with the tractor cannon and everything, and I appreciate someone who gets a really cool shoulder charge and gets 4 kills or whatever. But give me 100,000 more attempts at getting that ball on top of that spire. Right. And you will not see that happen again. That was so cool. I was jaw on the floor. I thought that was the coolest thing.
Takes some skill right there.
Yeah.
But that's all the major news this week. Nothing else coming down the pipe as far as we know. There's, whisperings of what comes in October. I'm hoping this coming week, this Thursday, we'll get a map or like a schedule like we did for September, That would be great if we got that for October as well.
Oh yeah, if they kept that up, that would be neat. But at the same time, I was telling some people too, because they were like, I love how transparent they're being with what we can expect, because a lot of my friends are content creators, and so they're all like, I want to be able to plan my week around what's going to drop so I can
Sure.
And I go, but one of my favorite moments was I went into work, and I have a couple of guys that I work with who also play much more casually than I do, but they still play. And I went into work. This was years ago, as you'll know, but and I go to punch in. The time clock is in this one guy's office, and he says, "Have you seen what's going on in the tower?" This is before we ever saw them do banners and stuff and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I go, what are you talking about? He goes, oh man, there's like candles and all sorts of stuff all over the place. It was the Festival of the Lost. We had no idea.
Yeah.
And,
the first one.
And I was like, I was like, what are you talking? And I didn't watch Twitch at the time, so I'm waiting for YouTube videos to come out and stuff. And finally I'm like, what are these masks? You could be Atheon? Like, I was so excited. It was the coolest thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what was the coolest part about it, although yes, at the time the game was all new, we didn't know what to expect. We'll never be able to capture that again. I understand that. But if they were to give us an exact roadmap of everything that's going to come out, from now until the end of Destiny 2, my gosh, that would make things so stale. It's so exciting when something just pops up. And so,
well, I'm glad you brought that up, because there was something that I've been holding on to this thought patiently, because I wanted to give it a little time, but I have like a major gripe with Destiny 2. And really with Bungie as a whole, with how I feel like they have failed me as a Destiny player. Where's the mysteries? Where are the secrets? Where's the sleeper simulant? Where is the fun, community engaging surprise? There's this awesome thing. Where is it? How bad did they drop the ball if they did not do this for Destiny 2? Think about how much coverage the game got when Sleeper Simulant was found, when the Outbreak Prime thing was figured out, when, I don't know, what am I missing? There was one other thing.
The
Black Spindle.
Oh, this Black Spindle. I was going to say the sniper. There it is.
Those were huge. Like,
Mm-hmm.
all the media outlets jumped on it. Of course, all the YouTubers were there. It got the whole community frenzied up. Everybody got excited. It was all over Reddit. It was a big deal.
You're answering your own question, man.
Well,
it was a big deal. It got everyone fired up. So why would you coincide that with the launch of the game? It's only been 3 weeks.
So, so this is why I was thinking about it. I'm pretty sure Sleeper Simulant was time gated, right? And I'm pretty sure it happened like October 7th or something, or the week of October 7th of 2015. So
2016.
Was it 2016? No,
Wait,
that was 2 years ago. The Taken King. Sleeper Simulant.
Yeah. I guess it would have been, yeah.
Sleeper Simulant. So, if it didn't happen this reset, then I don't know if it would. A month into the game.
It probably wouldn't. But you have to understand that the Taken King was not a new game. The Taken King was like, there was an established community of intense Destiny players that was large and vocal and excitable. We're talking about a game that just came out. Like, this is a brand new game, and you're trying to get new casual players to come in and buy your game and play it. You don't want to necessarily scare them all off with like the game's deepest, darkest secrets right yet. And especially with the fact that they keep saying that they're going to try to trickle out content nonstop, yada, yada. They might actually toss one of these in and, by just at some point, instead of this week's the faction rally, Iron Banner's going to be in a couple of weeks, here in October, maybe there's a bit of a span between, maybe they wanted the PC launch to come out before they release the game's biggest secret or whatever.
So that's something that somebody brought up in a Reddit thread that their belief was if there is stuff like that exists, it's not going to come out until after PC launch. Which I could kind of see why that would be a thing, but it's also kind of disappointing, you know? Like I want it now if it exists. I don't know.
Oh no, I hear what you're saying.
I totally hear my feelings as a long-time Destiny player, though, is that they have set expectations to expect that now. And if that is a improper way to feel about it, so be it. But that is what I expect. I expect that to be a thing with a major release, that they're going to have something for us to find, some mystery, some puzzle, some awesome weapon that we've got to go to the ends of the earth to get. It's a hugely fun part of Destiny that I've enjoyed. And if they don't do that, maybe they did it for a DLC, but if they don't do it, I'll be sorely disappointed.
I'm hopeful that will be a thing that comes. I am not surprised it's not a thing that came with vanilla. I don't know.
And we didn't get it with vanilla Destiny.
No, I mean, I don't know if that's because they didn't plan to do it or because they didn't think to do it or didn't realize that that's what people wanted or what. But to me, there's already, you know, I got 9 days of gameplay out of this game already, since launch. I'm not upset that there wasn't a big, deep, dark secret, because at the end of the day, Black Spindle was really cool because those raids were built around stand and snipe. That's what you did. So that gun was really cool for a while until people found other ways that were more effective. Besides that, Sleeper Simulant became kind of a flash in the pan. And same, in my opinion, with the
Outbreak Prime
rifle? Outbreak Prime. They were both kind of flash in the pans, like, oh, this is crazy. Oh my god, we figured out, we got it, and now it's over. And I don't know. Is it that those things are really cool, but is it that important for them to come out this close to launch when there's already so many things to do? You know, today I played with a buddy, one of my oldest friends, in the real world. I know, it's crazy. And I got him through his first Nightfall. We finished it with 1 second left. It was like a Hail Mary. Yeah, I spawned in as my Titan, threw both of my grenades, and just held down the trigger on my Hawthorne's Field Forge shotgun, and I managed to kill him. We all were convinced that we were going to fail. But I got him through his first Nightfall, and he's been playing regularly for 2 weeks, and he's not a Destiny player, so he doesn't know how to get to 300 power level in 5 days, you know?
Power level.
So it was cool to like kind of live through the eyes of somebody else. He goes, have you played The Floor is Lava? I go, yes, I have. Have you seen The Biggest Ball? He goes, what is that? And I go, oh, come with me on this adventure. So it was, go playing through the eyes of somebody who isn't a hardcore player. They're not missing it. So how many people are they really letting down? I'm with you. It's a cool thing, but I think that waiting more than 3 weeks for this is not a bad thing.
I'm not as I'm not going to be as upset if it was just wait until the right time thing. Like, I'll be even more excited if it comes out like a month from now or 3 weeks from now, when, like you said, like there's not something else major going on, and be like, oh, this is exciting. Like, there's this new thing in Destiny 2 that we haven't experienced yet, and everybody gets to go and find this or solve this or whatever. Like, that'd be great. I guess my concern, I'm worried, I'm stressed that they're not going to have anything. And it was just that's just a thing I've always enjoyed so much out of their content, how they were able to do that and give everybody a mystery to solve. Like, it just really tickles my fancy. So, I don't know.
At the end of the day, too, I know this sounds ridiculous because this never is the case, and it's always the day that they become available that somebody finds them somehow. But what if it's out there and we just haven't found it yet? Who knows?
Absolutely possible. There's a few things that people are looking at that are suspect, in missions, and there's suspicion that there's like some things you can trigger in strikes. Like, we don't know 100%, and they could just be anomalies. Sometimes that's the case, just weird stuff. But yeah, it's absolutely possible there's something that we just can't figure out yet. So I don't know. Spin foil hats.
I don't know either.
Anyways. I don't even know what we were talking about. So that was completely tangential, but let's get back on track. Let's get back on track. How was your reset, Blue?
So let's see. How was my reset? I got to cover everything since the last time I was on. Last time I was on was 2 weeks before Destiny 2 came out. So
the past 6 weeks.
So basically,
let me rephrase. Let me start here, because you haven't been on to talk about Destiny 2 since the game launched. How do you feel about Destiny 2?
I think it's great. I think it is fantastic. I think it is an A+ for casual gamers and a solid B+ for hardcore players.
That's fair. I'll take that.
I'm going to do as much as I can to hang on the positives, because I want to make sure everyone's clear that I'm 9 full played game days, like in-game time, 9 days of played time into Destiny 2 on both consoles. I have 6 raid-ready characters. Xbox, they're all over 300, and they're all over 280 on PlayStation. Like, I'm in it. I am in it. There hasn't been a whole lot I dislike. I've told everyone that this game would be a 10 out of 10 for me if it weren't for that terrible trash fire of a PvP they put in it. But I understand that most people disagree with me on that, and that's fine. But I think the PvP in this game is atrocious on every level, and I hate it with every ounce of my soul. But the PvE is exactly what I wanted. And I just enjoyed so much, like, finding different guns and going through different areas. And right now, the faction rally, which I have complaints about, it has given me, at the same time, it has given me a very classic MMO style grind, which I enjoy and wish wasn't kept.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things about this game that they really hammered home. And the one thing that I know came up a couple times before D2 launched, that we talked about with the reveal event and the beta and stuff, the guns sound so good. They feel so good, and
sound design and music is like AAA plus.
Oh yeah,
would buy again, A+ seller.
Absolutely. And it's almost, it's not almost, it's definitely unfortunate. As a streamer, when you got 9 played days in the game, you can't just play the game music because people expect a higher. So I have it muted in a lot of cases.
A little bit. I do in the raid a little bit. Do you ever play the in-game music in the raid?
I have. Not anymore, I don't. But I have in the past, yeah.
I like it because so there's you know, for instance, in, what's the name? The Pleasure Gardens. Like, there's audible cues in the music that change, which I like.
Oh, yeah, there is. But, I mean, those aren't necessarily, they're in the sound design, they're not in the music. Yeah. I don't have the game muted, I just have the music turned off. But the music is phenomenal, and so it does, every now and then it bums me out that I don't have it playing, but you know, you got to play to the audience at the same time. But no, I mean, there's so much about this game that I absolutely adore on every level, and I love how many of my friends are playing it again, how easy it is for me to get a fire team together, and just, I don't know. I love doing public events. Like, I'm not sick of them yet, even though I've done, oh my gosh.
They're fun.
They're fun.
I like doing them.
On like a really basic level, and I'll be like, oh, let me run down to this planet really quick and do this thing, and then a public event will spawn. I'll be
12 public events later, you're like, yeah, I'm coming, I'm coming.
Yeah, I'll be there just a sec. But there's, I don't know, there's something about the maps. Oh my gosh, the different worlds. I do wish Titan was a little more fleshed out. That was the one I was really looking forward to.
Yeah.
And it's
I felt the same
really
way.
small.
Yeah.
I'm not upset with it. I think it's fantastic. I wish it wasn't the Hive world. I really wish it wasn't, because I really hate fighting the Hive for some reason. And I think that the Acolytes in this game look ridiculous. They gave them that, the one I always compare it to is StarCraft. StarCraft to StarCraft 2 was this huge jump from this rough, rugged 1998 game that was run on a really simple system to this much newer, cleaner game, and everything got all bubbly and shiny in StarCraft 2. And I feel like the Acolytes got kind of bubbly and shiny in Destiny 2, and I don't know. They don't feel like they just came out of this wet hole in the ground anymore. They just sort of seem like enemies, and I'm like, whatever. So I wish Titan was a little more.
They look different, right?
I don't know,
because they're not.
I shoot guns.
They're not the brood of Oryx. They're the brood of Savathûn. So they're like, think of it like, a different. They're like cousins, but they got different genetic traits.
Yeah, but they could still, they all still live in gross pits in the ground. They don't need to look like they're in their Sunday best.
I hear you.
So, no, that's just so Titan could be a little bit more.
I think, a
little bit more.
Yeah, the thing, so Titan, there's parts of it that are really big that you only see if you're doing an adventure, a mission, or a strike. And I think the problem is that so much of that is off the grid. It's not like public patrol space, that if they had stuck maybe a fast travel point in the arcology is a perfect place for a public event, right?
Yep.
So all they had to do was open that and maybe another place deeper in the arcology, and made those, the area is bigger than it seems, but when you're doing, just patrol, there's really just 2 zones. And so you're only getting a small chunk of the actual space they built out. So I wish that they would have, they would have built that out a little better. Because the arcology is my favorite environment in the whole game. Something about it. I've always been fascinated with arcologies. The art design is really, really cool and modern looking, even though it's, been there a long time anyways. Continue, sir.
So I look forward to Titan. Nessus, I enjoy, but I'm just run around that environment for 20 minutes and then Google Destiny Moth People concept art and tell me that that's not where they dropped the ball. Hey, we're having a brand new game. Let's bring the Moth People in that everybody keeps talking about, because it's the coolest enemy design ever, and this world is begging for it. Nah, I think we're just gonna put we'll put a lot of Vex and a ball on there.
Yeah,
and it just
I think the Moth People concept art was basically what the Hive became.
I think so too, but you could write that into the lore
but they could definitely be a different
pupae stage or something. I don't know.
It'd be a different genus, or just an offshoot of the Hive. There's something that could be done there. I feel you, because it looked cool. It was really cool.
And it's something I every now and then I pull it up on my stream, and because people don't know about it, because it's not in the lore, it's not something people talk about, and I'll pull up these pictures of these Moth People, and they'll go, wait, what? I go, yeah, it's Destiny concept art. This is an enemy type that was in concept. And people would, yeah, exactly. You what, mate? And then they just look at it cross-eyed and tilt their head like a confused pug. And they're just like,
it's actually surprising how much, there's a ton of this concept art. It's been out for a long time. It's actually surprising how few people see a lot of that stuff. But it's handily available.
Oh, yeah.
Last week I was looking at, there's one particular concept artist for Bungie that has done a lot of very iconic concept illustrations. And if you looked last week, and they had all the different, artists, that they displayed, different pieces. And I went to one that I saw, in this particular guy, he's done all of my favorite pieces. He did the original triangle ships concept art. He did the one that we've seen a whole bunch of, the Leviathan sucking on a planet, and there's like a ship flying in. I mean, he's done like all of the most, in my opinion, iconic stuff, but in the ones that he had up that were just posted last week, he actually had some commentary on some of them that explained like just a couple little nuggets about how and why he designed certain things. Even, one particular piece that, people were kind of taking a leap with the lore on that, he explained was actually a little bit different, but I digress. Really interesting stuff. Go check it out.
Yeah, the concept art this whole game from the bottom up is just superb, in terms of the design, and it's Bungie, that's what they do so well. But no, I mean, in total, this game I'm finding more and more that I enjoy about it. I may have overstated the PvP a little bit. I'm getting a little bit more used to it, I guess. Mm-hmm. But that's not what I want in a game. I don't want a PvP that I'm getting used to. And I'm also really heavy-handed in terms of my opinion for it, because they've effectively destroyed the grind in this game in order to protect PvP. And in a game where I'm going to offend somebody, I'm so sorry. In a game that has such a mediocre PvP, I don't care. I know there's people who will hate me for saying that, but it's the truth. This game does not have top tier PvP gameplay, the end. Sorry. But somebody is going to write me some hate mail.
You could argue that that's definitely not the case now to an even greater extent.
Yes.
But that's a bigger conversation that should be had.
You're right,
but
what I'm getting at though is this fixed role thing, which as somebody who likes to play other games is great, but to these masses of people who, like I posted today on Twitter, I've played 9 days of Destiny, I'm going to start playing other games, and people are like, why? I'm like, what do you mean, why? Cuphead came out. It's supposed to be awesome. I can't wait to play that. I still haven't finished Observer. I barely touched Fortnite's Battle Royale. I got a chicken dinner this week when I took a short break, but I need more PUBG in my life. Like, there's so many games that I enjoy that I'm okay with taking breaks from Destiny, like, a lot. Mm-hmm. But the fixed role thing, as far as when I look at it for the longevity of the game, it destroys the grind. There's no loot grind anymore. At this point, at 3 weeks into Destiny 1, if you were told, oh yeah, in the next game you're going to be at a full light level, you would have laughed, because that Forever 29 thing. Like,
yeah,
people had to work hard to get to max light, and now it just sort of happens if you play enough. And a lot of that is to protect PvP. And you can sit there and say, yeah, they fixed it, and now it does have a top-tier PvP, blah, 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 whatever, fine. Sure. Because they destroyed their PvE game in terms of the MMO elements to it. And that's the part that really upsets me, and why I have a great deal of resentment towards the PvP, because if you look at when you make the decision to make that leap from Destiny 1 to Destiny 2, Destiny 1's PvP was always subpar. Fun, yes, exciting. I was at Guardian Con. I cheered along with everyone else. Exciting, absolutely. But to really deconstruct your game in a very, very monumental way to preserve that PvP seems so bizarre to me. And it makes there's no grind in this game. There's no grind anymore. That's why I'm kind of enjoying the old school MMO style grind for the faction rally right now. Mm-hmm. Which I know we've got in the notes for later, so I won't get into my loves and hates for that right yet, but it's lacking a lot because they wanted to do so much preserve this PvP that I can't just wander into and have fun with anymore. I have to prepare my butt to get spanked every time I get into the PvP in this game, and it's like, well,
I think you're pointing a lot to PvP, but there are other reasons why. There are other logical reasons why design choices were made about how this game plays, beyond just PvP. Balancing issues certainly are simpler to solve with everything in the game being static rolled, right? I mean, they can tune it. It was tuned before the game came out. They're not gonna have as many surprises about this crazy build coming out or this one gun being broken that nobody could see coming. I mean, those things are easier to solve. But there's other reasons, like there's other motivations for simplifying the game. And I want to have an entire conversation about this in an upcoming episode, once we've given it just a little more time. But I think
wait. So I gotta call you on that though. The same guy who said, "Well, we've been in here long enough that where is my secret events?" But you haven't been in it long enough to understand where we stand on PvE versus PvP.
No. It's not a lack of understanding. I want to give a whole episode to this conversation. I want to talk it out
enough.
Thoroughly. I want to talk about design choices. I want to talk about casual versus hardcore. I want to talk about who wins, who loses, and why PvE versus PvP, why choices were made. But we don't have enough time for that today.
That's fair.
And we can be prepared. But it all comes, I've been reading, I've been just soaking in a lot of different people's opinions on why there were changes made in how Destiny 2 plays compared to Destiny 1. And I totally get the gripes that you have. I have a lot of the same gripes. I'm not 100% diehard sold on some of these aspects of the game. And I'm kind of letting some of the chips fall to see if there's something that I'm missing. You know, like, is there something that they have coming that is going to alter my opinion a little bit? I don't know, man. I want to be reserved in my opinion about things before I have a knee-jerk reaction and say, well, this sucks and this is awesome. And, you know, it's that whole thing. Like, I have a problem with people reviewing Destiny 2 within a week or two of the game dropping. Like, before the raid comes out, before Trials comes out, before you've even had a month to play the end game. Like, you can't review a game like this that soon. If you are being irresponsible.
Totally agree.
Anyways.
Totally agree. I also have 9 days of playtime.
I
think I'm more angry at myself about that.
I mean,
than
the proverbial
else.
you. I have no problem with hearing what you, Blue, have to say about the game because you play the hell out of it, and you can have a very formulated viewpoint of what you think of the game overall at this point because you're up to your eyeballs in it. So I respect everything you would have to say, but we'll talk more about that. But overall, I know that you've enjoyed the game, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's the thing that I opened with is I want to make sure that people understand that I really, really enjoy this game, but there are a few things about it that
I think it's got some flaws.
Absolutely nuts.
Yeah. Overall, my biggest joy was seeing you just a few days or a week into the game dropping and seeing your opinion change in a positive direction because you had made it pretty clear, like, that you were not too keen on what you had seen prior to release, and you were very upset and uncertain about what Destiny 2 was going to be for you as a, longtime fan of the series. And I was happy to see that you did enjoy what was released. Maybe not every aspect, but they did win you over, and that made me warm on the inside.
Yeah, no, I know you responded to whatever that tweet was with like, this makes me so happy. I think a little bit of you was like, I really want to have him back on the show, but if he hates the game,
I was prepared to have you on the show if you hated the game because I'm not afraid to talk critically about this game. There's a lot of opinions that are valid. A lot of it's subjective. You can love things about PvP and you can hate things about PvP. It kind of depends on what you like, and how you play. But I was just happy that you did find things that you liked, that redeemed the experience for you.
Oh yeah, I'm glad I did too, because I was on the fence of even pre-ordering the game. Like it was really.
It was getting rough.
Sure. it was getting rough out there, guys.
It was scary, man.
It was a little touch and go there for a bit. But no, I did finally find a great deal of joy in this game. Obviously, you don't do something for over the course of 21 days. You don't spend 9 full days playing a game. If you don't like today, I played for 13 and a half hours.
Good Lord.
You know,
you got up early.
I went to bed at a reasonable hour last night,
That's
and
good.
whenever I go to bed at a reasonable hour, I wake up at the ass or butt crack of dawn. My bad. Yep. At the butt crack of dawn, I got out of bed and was just like, am I actually like awake? Oh my gosh, I'm actually like awake. All right, well, let's play Destiny. And I just played Destiny all day. Like, this is happening, I guess.
What a great song.
So... yeah, and it wasn't a bad day at all. So,
well, let's talk about.
I'm really glad.
Let's talk about something we both participated in this week. Let's talk about the faction rally.
Yay!
So, faction rally was a thing. So they did add a little bit to this that made it kind of fun, right? There's still a couple things I haven't even totally figured out. Like, I don't know where you get a dance party key. There's another key that does something else. I don't know how to do that. So obviously there's secrets that are there I haven't even figured out, and I need to stop complaining. But faction rally.
Right? I was going to point that out too when you were like, where are the secrets? I was going to be like, well, the dance party key and stuff. I don't know about those. But
do you know how to get it? I heard.
Well, you get the dance party key from the raid. I just don't.
So I've done 2 raids,
drop.
and I didn't get one this week, so that's disappointing.
Yeah, that's a chance drop from what my understanding. I don't have one, so
okay. Beyond that, so this is the controversial thing this week. So you earn tokens from activities. Obviously, as predicted, people figured out the cheesiest way to grind them out super efficiently. You can get hundreds of them within hours, right?
Yes.
Which we know is going to happen. This is the Destiny community. Like, guys, we've been cheesing it for years. We'll find a way. But the issue at hand is there is a 30 package limit per character. Your thoughts, Blue?
Total and complete garbage and a complete oversight by Bungie. I'm sorry. This is an issue for me.
Well, I wouldn't say it's an oversight. It was obviously done on purpose.
But I know, but they did it on purpose without realizing the implications of that decision.
What are the implications?
In my opinion, that, hey,
you get disenfranchised.
Yes. Okay. Let's start with my numbers. I have reached the 30 cap on 5 characters. Yeah, I play too much. I'm sorry.
If that didn't show your hand, I don't know what did.
So, because I love the gear, I love the idea, everything. I have 2 major issues with the faction rally, this being one of them. And on my Dead Orbit, Xbox first, Dead Orbit, I got everything but the gauntlets.
Okay.
New Monarchy and Future War Cult, I got all the weapons. I got a New Monarchy chest piece and a Future War Cult helmet. That was it.
That's rough.
That was it.
That's
We're not done.
Super stinky.
PlayStation, I got everything but the gauntlets for what was it? Everything but the gauntlets for Dead Orbit, and I got all the weapons and a helmet. Oh no, wait, no, I did get a lot of stuff on PlayStation. So PlayStation for Future War Cult, I got a helmet and a cloak and a chest piece. So that was okay, I guess. But then I'm done. I can't go further. And people are saying to me, but you never before in an event like this have we had everything at our, disposal. Like we haven't had an entire loot pool to go from. You're right. But what they should have done is said, hey, in this faction rally, you can get these 4 guns and these 2 pieces of armor. Just like Iron Banner. You can get gauntlets and boots this week.
Right.
Like the way that they did it. And then let you grind that forever.
Yeah.
Because who cares? Like, well, that's the point
either
of
that
these games is
or
to grind.
Use a system that was introduced in, I think it was year 3, Destiny 1, of the factions having smart loot. Another example.
Was that a faction thing?
Yeah, that was factions where you wouldn't get like duplicates of certain stuff. I think it was like shaders, ships, like other things that were like rare drops. It used a smart loot system. It looked at what you had. It would give you stuff that you didn't have. And if they decided that there was going to be a 30 package limit, that's fine, but don't give me the same guns over and over again until I've got them all. Don't give me multiple armor pieces, or when I've got all the guns, start giving me armor pieces until, you know, and if I have everything, then give me duplicates or lower the number of packages. I don't know. I put up a tweet because here's the thing that I get frustrated about this when people's opinions turn into, it's almost like the opposite of what you would expect. You would expect that people would be on the side of the hardcore player and would feel like you feel, and you're like, why are you limiting me? Like, why can't I grind this? Who does this hurt? Instead, everybody on Twitter and on Reddit is like, well, you know, it's, you know, it's not a big deal. And, you know, why do you have to play so much? And, you know, 30 packages is a lot. If you're doing that, like, you know, you need to get a life or whatever. You know, like, people were actually erring with the side of Bungie on this, that you shouldn't need to spend your time grinding out more than 30 packages. And so I tweet and I'm like, if a person can grind out more than 30 packages and keep earning rewards, does it affect you? And nobody had anything to say. Either everybody agreed or they were like, oh, let me give you the straw man argument about how blah, 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 blah. And the fact of the matter is, if you are able to grind out more than 30 packages, all it does is give people more loot. It does not affect any other player. And there's no reason why you shouldn't just be able to grind as to your heart's content. Like, the economy in this game is already broken, so let's not pretend like they're worried about us having too many legendary shards. Okay?
Oh,
There's
yeah.
nothing to spend them on. So that's the only way that you could break the game is, you know, too many legendary shards. Like, that's all that would happen. So what's so wrong with that?
I'm totally with you on this. I don't understand. The other thing too is if you're hitting 30 on multiple characters, you're probably level 300 already, or at least over 280. On
you're spending a lot of time in
characters.
the game.
Yeah, you've played the game a whole bunch. You're not getting anything that's gonna change everything. And on top of that, and anyone who isn't having this experience, I am so sorry, because I've done it on 6 different characters now. And if you don't get every single weapon from a faction within 10 packages, then your RNG is just butts.
Oh yeah,
because
you get all the weapons.
I decided on PlayStation I was just going to go for it originally before I got through it all and was like, well, I'm just kind of enjoying this silly little loot grind. I just want to get the weapons and we'll call it a day from there. And I think I opened up 9 packages for Dead Orbit and got all the weapons multiple times and was like, okay, well, that was fun.
Okay. Yeah, I actually wanted the armor more than the weapons. And some of the weapons have some cool perks, too. So that kind of changed my perception, but those are definitely more rare.
I'm definitely more upset about not being able to get my armor sets. Like, Dead Orbit is love, Dead Orbit is life, I don't care. And so I wanted my full set of Dead Orbit gear for my Titan, like the end. I'm a Titan in Destiny. I've been a Dead Orbit Titan since day one. That's what I want to do. And I didn't get the boots. I'm probably screwing this up, but now I'm remembering I didn't have the boots on Xbox. So I pulled in the Wildwood boots because it's the same armor set, just reskinned basically. So I put the Dead Orbit skin. Yeah, threw the Dead Orbit shader on those boots and said, that'll have to do. And then on PlayStation, I didn't get the gauntlets. And so I don't even have a pair of gauntlets that matches. So I just threw the shader on another pair of gauntlets and was like, that'll have to do. Like,
yeah.
this is what I wanted the faction rally to be, and I couldn't have it. I wasn't allowed to have it. I was told how I had to play this game, and I don't like being told how to play a game that's the shared world. You know, it's an MMO, FPS, RPG, shared world shooter. Like, don't tell me how to play these games. Just let me play them, you know? So that bugs me.
Do you have any problem with all the gear being reskinned stuff?
No.
Okay.
Because they I don't know. They're still fun weapons. I will tell you, on PlayStation, I don't have a Better Devils yet, and I've been running around with the Future War Cult hand cannon. It works just as well from my experience.
With the same gun.
So in PvE, yeah, they're the same model and everything. They're just a different skin, but the hand cannon for Future War Cult actually has like a secondary explosion to it. So I don't think the base damage is as high, but it's a fun little weapon to use, and it shoots us. It reloads slower, I think, but it shoots the same way and everything. I don't know. I like it. Come on, Future War Cult wins for weapons. And your New Monarchy, I'm Dead Orbit. Can we both agree that Future War Cult has the best set of weapons?
They do.
Yeah,
they have some good stuff.
I mean,
that New Monarchy shotgun, though.
I got it. I haven't played with it yet. I got to do that. I've heard it's good. I've got it on both consoles, I believe, at this point, and
okay.
I have not played with it yet. I'm still in love with what I call the bus, which is my bright yellow Hawthorne's Field Forge shotgun, because it does work. Oh yeah, I put both consoles. I put the Bumblebee or whatever.
Yeah.
Bumblebee shader on it. It turns it bright yellow, and I just call it the bus. And so the bus. So, and everyone in my stream knows it's the bus. And when the bus comes out, I just run things over. I love it. So it's gonna be hard to tear me away from the bus, but
I like it.
I like what you got.
I like what you've got. Show me what you've got. All right. So faction rallies. I think they did mention the TWAB. They didn't say when this will come back, but they did say it is going to come back. Yeah. And I saw just a couple days ago on Reddit, somebody data mined some weapons that were not available for all the factions. That they all look pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, it looks neat.
Like grenade launchers,
which means that they were willing to gate some stuff. So why they gave us full armor sets and then capped our, I don't know why they didn't just say you can get these 3 pieces now and these 3 pieces later. I don't know.
Yeah, it would have been smart to do it old Iron Banner style, where you're just, limited loot pool. The grinding that you do is just to get more chances at what you need. I feel like that gave you a better chance of getting everything. But I guess if the armor stays the same and this comes back, then you can try again? ?
There was the one other thing about this that I really didn't like, is that you can pick all 3 of the factions.
Right.
Like
on
don't
different
call
characters.
It a faction rally. Yeah, but still, I don't care different characters. It's the same. Go back to Destiny 1, start a new character for each one of the 3. It's the same character model. They're the same thing. So in my head, they're all the same person. They're just putting on a different cape.
Don't force your headcanon on me.
My point being that there's no, how do I put this? There's nothing at stake.
No,
the way they worded this was, you pick your faction, you side with your faction, you work with your faction.
There's nothing at stake in the first place. Dead Orbit will win. Period. The end. It's everybody's favorite faction. 75%. Well, it was set up from the get-go.
You don't play Splatoon. Splatoon did this thing recently where you had to pick your favorite condiment, ketchup and mayo, and everyone picked ketchup because, let's face it, mayo is an egg product that you spread on things and is the worst color imaginable, and it's disgusting. The end. Mayo is gross. Yeah. And mayo won. So few people were playing as mayo that you almost never got into a ketchup versus mayo match. It was always people on the other team were still ketchup. And this is such a weird thing if you don't know. If you're coming in just now, this got weird. But
that's a different system, though.
But they could have used that system where it wasn't about who picks what the most. It's about, if you have 100 people and they go dead orbit and 10 of them do everything and the other 90 barely do anything. And then you have 10 people go New Monarchy and one of them does everything and the other 9 don't do much. That should be the same number. Like, that should still work out. So I don't know. To me, there's better ways to do this where it isn't about the numbers game. Cause I went into work and told my coworker, who's pretty new to Destiny, be dead orbit. Cause if you want to get the weapon sheet, be dead orbit. Man. And I wasn't trying to be a jerk to him. I was like, if you want to save your glimmer,
yeah, absolutely.
Be dead orbit. I'm not trying to be a jerk. I am a dead orbit guy, but yeah, you're right. Dead orbit's going to win. But I don't know. For some reason, now that I know what I know, like, Future War Cult has the best weapons, and that pulse rifle might be awesome. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. Dead Orbit's weapons are butts.
Well, isn't it
all
nice
the weapons
that all
you
three of
can
your
get.
characters can pledge different factions so you can access those rewards?
No, because now if I okay, you're right about that, but at the end of the day, I would have picked Dead Orbit. If Future War Cult wins, I should get punished for not being a Future War Cult guy.
Yeah, there's not as much of a penalty, but let's be fair here. Bungie does not like. I mean, you very rarely get truly penalized in this game. Everybody gets a trophy, okay?
Oh, when they announced it, though, in my head, because there's no rally to it, is my thing. There's no rally. Why is it the faction rally?
I feel like they missed
no rally.
a big opportunity with tying PvP into it somehow,
Well, you can still get tokens from PvP.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I don't know, go in with other people in your faction and fight, Future War Cult people, and the wins go to, the total or something. I don't know. If it's like really a competition, make it bigger, grander,
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not a rally. There's no rally to it. It's when I explained it to my buddy who played year 1 and hasn't played yet because he's going to play on PC. I go, so the factions showed up, and he goes like, oh yeah, Dead Orbit and stuff. Yeah, those ones, and they have weapons and armor that when you level them up, you get in packages and engrams, but same thing. And he was like, yeah, and I go, sound familiar? He goes, yeah, that's how factions work. And I go, exactly.
Right.
Like, why is it an event? Why is it a rally? That's how factions have always worked. And now it's like it's that old prison technique. Exactly. It's like that prison thing where they take away the basketballs and then they say, oh, look, guys, we got new basketballs. Thank you for all the hard work you've done to they take away something and then make you feel good for giving it back. I'm being serious though. Like, this is stuff that happens. And so I'm not going to pretend like I actually know what prison's like, guys. This is something I saw in a movie. All right. Leave me alone. Okay. So, but the point being is they're taking stuff away from us and then giving it back to us like they're the hero. And I'm kind of like, okay, give us factions or don't. I don't really care either way because there's tons of loot in this game, but
it's a fair point.
Don't dress it up and make it into something it's not.
Yeah.
Or make it so that there's something at stake.
Yeah.
I was so excited. You have no, because this is such a casual game now. I was like, oh my gosh, if you pick wrong, oh, this is going to be crazy. I'm so excited. And then I got on and was like, oh, I can just pick all 3. So who am I working for? Am I helping anybody out, or is it just, I don't understand. And if everybody that plays hardcore picks all 3, then who wins? So I don't understand at all.
I guess we'll find out.
What did you vote for? Both of them. Couldn't pick a candidate I liked, so I picked both of them.
Just let them duke it out,
I don't know. But
all right, let's talk about the Leviathan raid. The reason we're here.
Okay. This week. Welcome to the main. Hey, real quick, how was your reset?
Yeah, it was great. Let's talk about the raid.
Good. Glad to hear it. Let's talk about the raid. I felt like I needed to ask you that part, though.
I know. I just skip over that sometimes when it's just not relevant. Let's talk about the raid. The Leviathan raid is where I've spent a good portion of my time since, I guess, 3 weeks ago. In Destiny. overall thoughts, I've had a grand time. I've also had a hell of a time trying to get through certain portions that can be very punishing. What are your overall thoughts on this raid? Where would you, if you had to place it with Destiny 1's raids, where would you place it?
I love this raid. I love the colors. I love the sounds. I love the encounters. I think this raid's great. I'd probably, I don't know. It's the hipster in me doesn't ever want to say Vault of Glass is the best, but it probably was. So I'd probably put it behind Vault of Glass with, Wrath of the Machine. I liked Wrath of the Machine a lot because of its pacing. It was very fast paced.
Yeah.
This is much more like a fast paced King's Fall. It's just mechanic heavy, and instead of
King's Fall light.
I don't know, kinda, yeah, but it's not the Dreadnought. It's not gross and dank and disgusting and blah. Like, it didn't sink me into seasonal depression or anything.
That's
like,
something that I have enjoyed so much about this raid, and that's like going back a couple years. That was a big reason why I stopped running King's Fall, because it kind of just got like depressing after a while. Like, the color palette, while it was grand and beautiful in its own regard, like spending hours and hours in there a week, like it was just drab and it was dark and it was what it was supposed to be, but it got kind of depressing.
Well, I made a joke when because I don't know if you remember this, but when Rise of Iron was coming out, they teased the raid a lot and like showed raid footage a lot, and it was rather surprising. But when they started showing that footage and people were able to put together what was raid and what wasn't, to me, I immediately was just like, guys, there's a lot of this outside. Most raids, or all raids so far, have been jump into this pit and then go fight something underground.
Right.
And this doesn't look like that. And I pointed at the Death Zamboni part a lot and was like, look, that's like sunny and stuff. Like, that's so cool. And then, of course, as soon as you beat the Death Zamboni, you jump off a giant cliff into a hole in the ground. But, you know, I was excited about that because it was a very real thing. This whole, like, opulent, bright colored gold and purple, and it's a very nice change of pace in my opinion. So I've been loving that aspect of it for sure. Yeah,
the visual design is really unique. Even for what it is, like it's a different take on what the Cabal is, and that even is a change of pace, because in years past, thinking about when a Cabal raid would eventually come, all that was on my mind is, you know, the Mars color palette, and the existing Cabal color palette at that point was just really, you know, supposed to be kind of harken to Romany origins, you know, kind of call back to like Roman culture and stuff. But this reminds you of like the opulence of Rome and the hedonism and all that, but it's kind of grand in its own way. And like you said, like the white and the gold and the purple, like it's easier on the eyes. It's very visually appealing. There's a lot of interesting areas.
I don't think I'd say it's easier on the eyes.
Than King's Fall?
Center area. No, that center area though is very bright.
Yeah, it's bright. I guess
it's much more pleasant.
Yeah.
But every now and then you run into that area and you're just like, holy cow, that is a really bright
you come
area.
out of like, I don't know, you come out of Pleasure Gardens, you're like, whoa! Like,
yeah, I'm awake.
Come here.
Smelling salts.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely. But that part of it is really cool. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about just the lore or the story behind it. And the kind of the reasoning why it's designed this way is really interesting, because you're seeing a part of the Cabal Empire that is not there in a macro scale anymore in the existing Cabal Empire. We don't know, like, time-wise, how long Gaul was the quote-unquote emperor or leader of the Cabal. like how long ago he deposed Calus. It had to be a long time, but we just don't know how long. But there was a book that came with the collector's edition that gives a little more background into who Calus is and what happened and etc. That's really a really cool read, but you kind of see like his whole reign was based on like he basically got rid of the Praetoriate, like the upper aristocracy, and basically was like the sole emperor, and his whole empire was based on like giving the riches back to its citizenry and just going all out, like drinking all the time and eating just opulence, right? And so the reason like he was deposed by Gaul and the consul and all that was because they believed like he was weakening the power of the empire, and then it became very militaristic, which is how we know the Cabal. So you kind of see this other side of that race that it gave it more depth to me. It made it a little more interesting of an enemy faction than just a straight like militaristic domineering like type of race. So it was interesting. I like it.
It is. It's very interesting. And I just want to point something out. I heard a really strange complaint about this raid, and it made me kind of question something. So to put a whiny baby to bed real quick, I just like that saying. First question I got to pose, though, is when you're talking Vault of Glass, do you consider the Gatekeeper a boss fight?
I never think of them as boss fights as much as just, I always think of them as encounters.
Because the thing that came up, and it was like this really big thing for a little while, was that there was only one boss.
Right.
There was only one big bad guy that you shot down. And I stopped and thought about it, and I don't consider the Gatekeeper a boss because he's not the hardest part of that encounter by any means. It's all the snipers and everything.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, there's really only the Templar and Atheon, which is 2, and that is everyone's golden child of a raid. And so because they had one more boss, you'd consider this one, because I've heard people saying that they prefer Crota over this, that they think this is the worst raid they've ever made. And one of the biggest complaints was that you just don't stand and snipe. Yeah.
That's
like
I don't even know where to get started on that opinion.
I know, I'm with you on that, and I was just like, "Excuse me, like this." I think this raid is really well done,
leaps and bounds ahead of, and not. I'm not trying to like completely shit on Crota's Inn. Like, I have great fond memories of that raid. Had a lot of fun, but from what I want from a raid and just the overall package and design, I would put this raid a lot higher on the list. I don't have a gripe with it. Personally, I don't care as much if we're fighting a boss, quote unquote, as there's something challenging and it is a well thought out, interesting encounter. I think what stands out to me in the entire raid, like the biggest, if you could call it like development or innovation out of the raid team on this, is the Gauntlet. The Gauntlet is everybody's favorite part. It's the most fun part of the raid, I think, for a lot of people. And it's just different. Like, it's not...
I think that's where it gets that tag. I think the dogs is the most innovative and different part, but it's not as fun as the Gauntlet. So that's where I think the Gauntlet gets a better rap. Because when people go... When I'm talking to friends who haven't done it yet, because most of my like IRL friends don't care about, I'm gonna run it blind, don't tell me anything. They don't care about that stuff. Right. They just want loot. When I talk to them about the dogs for the first time, they're like, "What's this dogs thing I keep hearing about?" Though my friends are messaging about how they can't get past the dogs and everything. I was like, "Oh, it's a stealth section." Yeah, and they go, "What?" I'm like, think about that. We did that. Yes, people say, well, the Gorgons were like that. The Gorgon maze. But this is different because you have to kill.
There's mechanics, you have to kill them, and there's, it's an encounter. It's a full thought out.
Yeah.
Gorgon Maze was added to give. They specifically said they added Gorgon Maze because they wanted a beat in the raid where you slowed down and you got a chance to like talk about what was going on, prepare for the next phase. It was there for your raid team to bond. It's literally why they put Gorgons in there. This is more of a true encounter of the raid where they, like you said, it's comparable because they took that stealth aspect of it. And even like the AI that drove the Gorgon seems to be like the same as the dogs. But then just took you on a completely different path. And
like they even put something in your hands so you don't even have guns out.
Yeah.
Like you can't even defend yourself. And
yeah.
I don't know. I think that's a really to me, that's the most interesting. But yeah, the gauntlet is too much fun. And the baths is a great encounter, but let's be honest, it's the totems. It's the same thing. It's the totems with one added step, which is the DPS phase in the middle.
Yeah.
There. So, but the gauntlet is top notch. I, however, can only run it because apparently when I'm in the inside section, I am a dumpster fire. So, and I love platforming. So immediately when I was like, oh, we have to go out there and run.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
instantly people are drawn to running. There's always people that want to run, which is cool. I think it's great. I think it's cool that the raid has different beats to it. There's an obvious part that's a little more fun. There's a part that's, a little more stealth and precision, right? Baths is kind of the warm up as I see it. Like it's the encounter that's not it's the least challenging, in my opinion. It reproduces a familiar mechanic, but provides, some padding. I don't want to just call it padding, but, it's the least, challenging section of the raid. But there's always going to be a easiest part, right? There's also just like, I know a lot of people had trouble on totems sometimes, but totems was just kind of on the way, like it was what happened before War Priest. Like, but I think I think the way they designed it makes sense. Like the idea behind the raid is that you're there. It's interesting as in a lore perspective, and it's so analogous to King's Fall. So in King's Fall, the reason you're doing all the things you're doing is because of the sword logic that the Hive uses. In order to challenge Oryx, you had to defeat his generals and the things that came before him to physically get to where he is, but also you had to face his challenges to prove that you were worthy. And when you defeat those foes, according to sword logic, you were more powerful and you could have more power to face Oryx. In the way that Calus frames the raid, you're there as a test. He puts out this letter in the collector's edition and he's like, I want challengers to come and basically assassinate all the people that betrayed me. And if you can do it, great, but then you're going to have to show that you're worthy to stand by my side. And if you do, I'm going to give you this awesome power. He doesn't technically say what, but you're showing up to do that, like to face his tests. And it's very similar. It's analogous to King's Fall. It's just that instead of sword logic for Calus, it's more based around like revelry and like these things as a matter of, think of it to like gladiatorial games, where you would prove your might and worthiness and then receive accolades. It's the same way. He's like, well, I'm the emperor and these are like my virtues. So you have to prove that you can take on all these things and then I'll consider you worthy. So it's interesting in that way, and the I guess the working theory is that if you look, all the weapons and the armor that you receive have a different piece of a story that's being told. And most of the armor, all the armor is actually based on this group of different warriors and I don't even know what you would call them, but individuals that he collected that he turned into his assassins. He called them his shadows. And it tells the story of him getting his shadows and then them going on these different quests to assassinate people that betrayed him. And all of them they're all dead. The ones that that you get the armor, the Fulminator, can't remember all their names. But the idea, like if you look at the sword, I want to say it's the sword of the rocket, but he basically like journeys to the end of some part of space and finds a void, and the void answers back. And obviously the take from that is he found the darkness, and it granted him some kind of power that you see when you go into the other dimension or whatever you want to call it, outside the ship, inside. Everybody's got a different name for it, right?
We call it the sucky face room.
The sucky face room. That's actually Calus using his power in his form. Kind of how, I think that's why it looks like, Oryx's Shadow Realm. It's the same idea. And then there's the twist, right?
Yeah.
You're not actually even fighting Calus. So,
this is, if you haven't beaten Calus and you're still going blind, this is where you're going to want to skip ahead. Because this was the coolest thing to me. So, my blind, just as an aside, this blind run, it took us 12 hours over 2 or 3 days. It was probably one of the most fun blind runs I've ever done, or anything I've done in Destiny. Great group of guys. We had a ton of fun figuring it out. You could see who was really good at figuring out what. I had a buddy who, he's really good at shooting stuff and taking directions, but all of a sudden I realized he's really good at finding patterns. And he was the guy calling out, like, wait a minute, that did that. Why did that do that? And we were like, what? Like, he would notice these little fine,
yeah,
like, he wouldn't know what
important.
they meant, but he was the one that was really good at, like, guys, red is bad, and that is turning red. Like,
yeah.
what are we doing wrong? We're like, well, we're supposed to do this, I think. And he's like, no, that's clearly not right. We're just like, wait, really? It was kind of strange, like, having people come out of their shell in different ways. It was really cool. And when we got to, like, the second damage phase for him and he starts breaking apart, I'm, like, sitting there just like, just keep shooting. I don't know what's happening. Just keep shooting. And then we wiped because, that was the first time we'd seen that, and we're garbage.
Doesn't that stink, though? You're there. You're on the cusp. Like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
And I go, guys, before we start this again, he's a robot. Right. Like, what the hell? And everyone was like, oh, yeah. And a couple of them were like, oh, I had that spoiled for me already. And I was like, oh man, I didn't. That's crazy. Like, that's so cool. And then we get to the bottom, and right as we're going down after beating it, we had picked up I think we picked up a sixth, because one of our guys couldn't do it with us, to finally beat it. Like, this is our final run or whatever.
Yeah.
And we grabbed a sixth, and he didn't know that this was like our final run. Because, at this point, we're not discovering anything anymore.
Yeah.
And as we're jumping on the elevator to go down, he's like, I just can't believe this room, and like how it shows all this replayability and everything. Like, this is so cool. And we all in unison were like, bro, shut up. Like, we were so mad at this guy and we were seconds away, and he didn't really spoil anything hardcore, but he came so close to like ruining that moment for us.
I say that that moment, going down to the treasure vault where you get your stuff there and seeing all the robot Caluses, hundreds hanging down there. I think that would go hand in hand with like seeing Oryx for the first time in the raid. Not quite that grand, but definitely a aha moment, where you're like, wow, okay. And like your friend said, it's genius because it fits perfectly for you to just keep going back, right? Because you're doing the same thing, but it can make sense because you're just fighting another robot Calus over and over. I love it.
And I like it. One of the things that I really enjoy in gaming is when developers tastefully make fun of their players.
Right.
The biggest example of this, even though I wasn't a fan of the game as a whole, sorry if I'm about to spoil this 11-year-old game for anybody, but the ending of BioShock.
Oh yeah.
I found it very predictable, but not in like the would you kindly thing. And basically what I didn't really care for the game, but I loved the idea that, yeah, when you're playing a narrative-driven game, you're doing exactly what they're telling you to do. You're not making any of your own decisions. You're doing what the game wants you to do. So whether you liked it or not, you were just a drone going through and doing exactly what this game wanted you to do. And you find out at the end you're doing it for the bad guy. Right. And in this, they're kind of, it's a little poke. There's the nod
to the fact
you're
that
gonna
you
do
come
this
back
a lot
week after week. Yeah.
You're going to do this a lot, and here's why you're going to do this a lot, because there's a lot of them.
Yep.
And there's that idea of like, oh, he was really prepared. Look at all this stuff that he did to get this set up exactly the way he wanted. But then there's also that, and we need a lot of things to kill. If there's one robot and we blow it up, then what's the point of coming back? So now there is a lot of dogs being bred in that building somewhere, apparently, but
they just name them all the same thing too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Well, they're all going to the same places, so you might as well give them all one name. That way you could say all of this dog goes to this flower.
But I think it was great. So the same writer that wrote the Book of Sorrows, he wrote the collector's edition booklet. He wrote all the lore that's on the armor and weapons, which is awesome because he's great. I'll look up his name again real quick. Seth Dickinson. He also has like his own book series, but he did a great job. There's even a throw-in line on the collector's edition book where he says, Calus says, and it's the biggest hint at what he's up to, because he says something like, "Oh, champion mine," or something like that, which is an obvious call out to the Ankara, right? Mm-hmm. So I just love that they use the same writer, and he knew the universe. He knows the intricate like backstory into the darkness, and he's got this whole tale weaved. So I'm just glad they did a good job with kind of working all that stuff into the raid. We're talking about Calus. What do you think about that fight overall? It's obviously challenging. I'd compare it very much to Oryx, in kind of its rigid, like, mechanics. But it's super punishing.
I think
it's not so
really
difficult. It's just really punishing.
It's a good word for it, is punishing. I actually enjoy the encounter as a whole. I don't know, because everyone has a job. It's punishing, but if you lose one person, you're probably going to be okay. If you lose two people, you're probably going to be okay. You can come back from almost anything. But where it's punishing is if you miss one mechanic. In the gauntlet, if you're running and somebody screws up shooting the points once, you'll probably get to the next one.
Right.
In this one, if you miss one thing, you're going to have to start over. And that's where it's punishing. To me, though, the only gripe I have with it is, as somebody who is out in the sucky face room, trademark, as someone who operates the sucky face room, is just how touch and go that area can be. I've been running up the right side as much as I can because I've been doing it a lot and I figured it out. There's a couple of points over on that right side that don't appear to have any real like changes in elevation or anything. But if you are near them, they will throw you when you go up to them.
So I haven't spent any significant time in Sucky Face Room, but I've been part of all the runs with people having a lot of trouble with things just like that.
And what was frustrating for one of the things that we had to overcome at first was the people inside getting frustrated with the people outside, because it's two totally different skill sets. You know, inside is stay alive and punch the right thing. Right. Outside is look at your, I'm not saying one's harder than the other by any means. I've done inside and it can be tough.
No, it's just two different, you're doing two wholly different things.
Outside you have to see what your call out is, know what point in the order you have to call out, make sure you're killing the scions before they bop you off the edge, and then kill those projections.
And also and not get launched into the air, right?
Yeah, the whole time you're just hoping you can't run into your teammates, because if you go flying forward and you're touching a teammate, you're likely to go flying off the side. Yeah. There's a lot of things about it that's really finicky. I love the concept of it though, where in the past, it's been like, oh, you have to jump from platform to platform. But in this one, it's like, if you jump, you die.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of interesting. You know, there's a lot of stuff about it that's really cool. But outside, it's very, like you said, the whole encounter is very punishing. And outside, there's some things that just, all of a sudden, you'll just go flying and you go, okay. Yep. Like,
oh, yeah. I mean,
this might as well happen.
It's pretty much how it goes. And I am a throne room person. And so I've just come to accept, like, and I've heard it 100 times, like, well, okay, you know, and there's just like literally nothing that person could have done to prevent what happened. And, I think my biggest gripe with that encounter is that there's things that are so finicky like that, and one person can make one mistake or even just be at the wrong place, and there's not a darn thing you can do about it, and it'll wipe the whole encounter. Similar thing in the throne room that can happen at any point, where I've been launched by a scion, shot in the air, and then very quickly within half a second finished off in midair by Calus, who has just the best aim assist on his head laser beam in the world.
Yeah.
Like, I got launched by the scion, I think knocked back, you know, by a phalanx, hit through one of the flaming lamps, and then like shot down by Calus. I mean, it was like 1, 2, 3, 4. Within a second, I was dead. Literally nothing I could have done about it. And I'm just like, oh, okay, all right.
Easily the funniest one for me was I gotten thrown off the edge outside in the Sucky Face Room, and they come, I'm inside the throne room now, they res me, and where they res me, as I'm in the res animation, the Nova Bomb thing, not Nova Bomb, but you know, the Nova explosion, it happens right at where I am, and I died immediately, and I'm like, oh, we must have wiped, and then I was just dead again, and everyone's laughing. I'm like, what happened? They're like, that was the most unlucky res I've ever seen. So, but to finish my thought before I get too far away, I was saying one of the struggles that we had to overcome in this encounter was, and this is more of a piece of advice to people who are still working on it with their team. If your people outside are saying, I'm getting tossed around, like this isn't my fault, like, you know, if you're in the throne room, don't offer suggestions because you have no idea. And even if you've done it before, you don't know what's happening differently here. Let the people outside sort it out. If they want to switch positions, if they want to mix it up, like, let them sort through it, because one of the things that we struggled with was the people inside getting annoyed with the people outside getting tossed. Yep. And it was like, at first,
they don't know
were
what's
too
happening.
close to each other.
Relate to it.
Yeah, exactly. It can be very frustrating.
I think that while it's very interesting what has to happen there, I think it's also, it adds to the difficulty, and it's kind of a challenge that you're separated from your team for half the time, and you can't help, you know, in especially when you're mastering the raid. In most other encounters, you can observe what's happening. You can see when people are where. You can see if something got missed and why. In this encounter, you know, 70% of the time you're split up, and half your players can't help each other. You know, you can't lend advice, like you're saying. You can't observe and try to diagnose what's happening. If you've got 3 people in there and 2 of them are brand new and 1 of them's okay, and you're depending on that one guy that's okay to like instruct these guys, make sure he's observing what's going wrong, everything's happening, you know, it's just half the team is ineffective. And I think it's, you know, it's an interesting thing to do, but it's also a weakness, to that encounter that it divides your team up, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that I think it does really well is it plays to people's strengths.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, when we've brought our team's gotten very good. 4:30 today. We had Dungeons and Dragons and stuff tonight. Yeah, I'm a nerd. Deal with it. But at 4:30, with a couple hours before we had to get together for D&D, I was like, "Do you guys want to run a raid? Like, see if we can smack this out real quick?" And we got together right then. We finished the whole thing with the keys in an hour and a half.
It's pretty good.
And I was like, look at us go with a guy that we'd never run it with before either. He knew what he was doing, but we'd never run it with him before. So it was, how's it going to be different this time? And so, we're getting pretty good at this. And we've run a couple first timers through and stuff. And what you kind of do is you look at him and go, oh man, you're only 267. We're going to put you outside the sucky face room because you don't have to try to stay alive. There's different ways. Some people don't want to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge out in the throne room, and trying to stay alive because there's too many things to juggle and their gun skill isn't there. They play this game very casually, and you just say, okay, can you read a symbol?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. You have to shoot 3 things and read a symbol.
Strafe right to left?
That? Sweet. Exactly. Do you understand patterns? A little like simple patterns? Very good. We've got a spot for you. And of course, I sound like I'm mocking this, but that's my position. So I'm mocking myself, if anything.
We're not putting it down.
But no. I like it out there. I think it's much more interesting than running around and shooting stuff. But I also know people who love the throne room. So it's a very cool encounter. And the way you start it, oh my gosh, I'm so sick of that ping sound.
I love that sound effect.
It's a great sound effect, but I just don't need to hear it a bajillion times.
I know. What about the clap, though? I love the clap.
Oh my gosh, how many times have you said clap on right before he does it? Because I say it as many times as I can remember.
My friend always does. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. And every time we try to get it in sync, it's very rare that it happens, but...
That's really good. After the very first run when he clapped, I was like, "Oh man, the clapper!"
Yeah.
So the next time, everything stops. I go, "Clap on." I really enjoyed that. So now that goes back to the sound design. They did a really great job of the sound design in this game. Did.
So we've talked a lot about the different encounters. I think overall, they each have their little intricacies, but I enjoy this raid a lot. And I'm saying that because in spite of the gear and reward system, I'm still running this raid and want to do it.
Yeah.
So I think that the gear and reward system needs some serious work.
Oh yeah.
The gear in and of itself is just the most watered down version of raid gear we've ever gotten.
Hands down. It's cool looking.
It all, as always, looks beautiful. The guns, the shader, the armor, all of it looks really cool. Can't complain about that. But, they did an awesome job in Wrath of the Machine giving you tools, as you would expect, that play into the encounters. It makes some aspect of, a certain encounter or a certain enemy or something, a little bit easier to tackle. But we have no raid perks. We've got no cabal damage perk. Nothing. These are just standard vanilla guns. And maybe that's great that you can use them to the same effect outside the raid. But it doesn't give you much impetus to want to get a specific item. There's no real reason you would want to collect the whole armor besides just to show it off. And I'm already seeing the effects of this. I'm looking in my community and I'm seeing people that were diehard raiders all of Destiny 1. They conquered every raid. They did them for many weeks after release, until everything was played out or until they got all the gear. And half of them aren't playing the raid at all. They don't even care because there's not a lot in it for them. The challenge level is low on some of the encounters. The gear is beautiful, but doesn't give you a lot of reason why you would want it. And then the drop rates and stuff are abysmal. I mean, great, you get tokens, but I'm just getting a lot of duplicates from the tokens. So I don't know.
I know that the first week I didn't get duplicates with the tokens because the
you
very
don't have
first
a lot
raid
by
that
then,
I
but...
did, exactly. So it is extremely disappointing to finally get through a section of the raid,
just get tokens
and have nothing. Yeah, nothing waiting for you. It's even more frustrating to beat Calus for the 30th time and get the flipping sword again. I'm gonna lose it.
I don't blame you.
It's become a thing. Like when I get the sword, it's just funny. Ugh. I can't.
So I mean, there's obvious ways to fix this that aren't going to happen. I mean, they could build in raid perks. I doubt that would ever happen.
No, next raid. Just fix it for the next
they
raid.
Could, make changes to the loot, how it drops. I don't foresee that happening either because of this vendor situation they built in. I'm just hoping that for the, I guess you call the prestige raid, there's a little more at stake and there's some better options. But the armor's already been data mined. It's just gold versions of the stuff we have. There's nothing different about them.
Thanks for the spoiler.
Yeah, sorry.
I didn't actually know that.
I just saw this yesterday.
Enough.
There may be some weapons that we haven't seen, which is cool. I mean, I still want to do this, but I'll still want to tackle the prestige version, but I'm just in it for the challenge, I guess, at this point, for the mastery and the fun of doing it, which there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's good to play things because it's fun, but in a game that revolves around loot, I don't think they put their best foot forward.
Yeah, somebody gave me an argument against the loot thing where they're just like, well, the loot isn't everything. I was like, I mean, you're not wrong, but at the same time, their release trailer, the punchline was, there will be a ton of loot. Like, that was, and I remember rolling my eyes at that. I was just like, oh, that should not be the selling point of this game. Like, there's so many more things. Like, of course there's going to be loot. I got that already. Tell me about the cool stuff that I can look forward to. Oh, just the loot? All right. Like, I was so rolling my eyes at that clip. And now people are trying to tell me that, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's why I just want to know about the other stuff. Like, it's a looter shooter. It's in the name. It's kind of like if somebody goes, oh, yes, the new RTS game has a lot of strategy built into it. Yeah, that's why the S in RTS is strategy. Thank you.
So I don't know, man. I hope that they make some positive changes for Prestige. I'm interested to see if there's mechanic changes that will add some more challenge, that will entice some people to tackle that. Maybe there will be some vanity items, ships, maybe a shader, I don't know, some other things that you can get that'll make it a little more prestigious.
Can I just point out that because of the way that they changed the loot for ships and sparrows, I don't care about ships or sparrows at all anymore. I don't know about you.
I would care if there was like a ship and a sparrow that you could only get from activities, but
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's
paid content. It matters a lot less. I mean, it looks cool. I want stuff that looks cool, but it's no longer a trophy.
Yeah, that's accurate. I think on one of my PlayStation characters, I used that white sparrow you get when you finish the campaign until I got another one to drop. Like, I had other ones on other characters I could have moved, but I just didn't care. I don't know what it is. I just don't care in this game.
Well, because it doesn't have any meaning. If everybody has it,
it's a bummer.
It's not as cool. If you didn't earn it, if you didn't feel like it is the representation of your victory or your moment, you know, that all those things were totems in Destiny 1 for something that had a personal meaning for you. If you got the Wrath of the Machine ship, you know how many times you had to grind that raid to get it. So few people had Nano Phoenix. So if somebody had it, I was like, wow, dude, that's awesome. How many times did you have to run for it? And it poured all the sacrifice and memories and fun and not fun that it took to get there. And when you had that ship equipped, that's what it meant to you. Right? But those things don't exist anymore.
Exactly. No, not at all. I got an exotic ship out of a bright engram that I got from leveling up and was like, oh, cool. And I opened it up. I was like, you look just like the other ships. Why are you exotic? I don't
Most
understand.
of them, I think, like a couple of them have like a pulsating, like design, like one part of the color will flash or something like that. So that's what some of the stuff does, but
not the one I got.
That cool. So
not the one that I got.
One thing I was thinking about today before we move on from this was, and this is something that had been thrown out as an idea a long time ago, maybe two years ago, when people were talking about, you know, if they could have the ideal like heroic or hard mode raid and what it would be like and what you could be able to do. But I was thinking about how in the Leviathan, you have these different sections that you go to, right? And they rotate every week. It would be interesting if in the Prestige raid, you could proceed to whatever challenge you want in whatever order, including Calus. But if you completed either certain ones in a certain order, or you completed different combinations, it could affect the final fight. So what if, you know, if you went into Calus and you just went straight to the throne room and did it a certain way, it would present a certain level of difficulty. Certain enemies would come out, maybe a different mechanic. But then what if you went and you did all the other challenges and it would remove a certain part of it? Or it would turn a red bar into, you know, an orange bar. Or it would, you know, you'd do more DPS. Like, wouldn't it be cool if you could kind of play it the way that you wanted to play it? So that you could go in and you could make it as hard as you want and just go straight to them. Or if you didn't want to do it that way, you could go and do all the other things, do the other challenges. And when you got to Calus, it would be a little more difficult, but not the most difficult. Would you bite on that?
I would.
I think it would give it some replayability.
I don't think it's likely though. And the only reason I say that is next time you go and, well, maybe this would work into that. But the one thing that I've noticed from my time in the sucky face room is when you load in, if you turn around, that thing is twice as long as they put you in there at when you're doing the standard raid. And so, like, to me, I go, I wonder. I mean, I can't even like pretend, but like with that, I wonder if you're gonna have to be inside longer, surviving longer, as they work up further. Like instead of 3, you have to do 6 or 5. Right. You know, like it's.
And then in the throne room, there's 2 doors at the very bottom that don't ever open to anything. Something's coming through those doors.
That is a good point.
So there's a variety of things that could go down in the Calus fight.
It'll be interesting to say the least. I'm not going to speculate too hard on it though, because I'm just kind of excited to see what it is.
If the Prestige Nightfall is anything to go by, I hope it is that at that level of difficulty. A lot of people have been pleased with the Prestige Nightfall in that it is a challenging activity. And they're having more fun running that than the raid is what a lot of people are saying. So.
Well, I mean, when you got people like the second week the raid's out, running the raid in, what was it, 23 minutes or something?
That's obnoxious.
I mean, that's well, it is in part to everyone's favorite bonding area, the underbelly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was the coolest new addition I've ever seen to a raid. Quickly turned biggest, upsetting, most disappointing garbage thing I've ever had to deal with in a raid. It's so neat. The first time you go down there, if you just have like an open mind and you're just like, whoa,
right.
Like it's so neat. And then the disillusionment came in for me anyway, and I was like, oh, this is a really elaborate way to make my raid time feel longer, so I'll feel like I got more out of it. Oh, thanks, Bungie.
That's one way to look at it.
I mean, there's so many things these days that are built around extending the playtime of a game that that's immediately where my head went. Once the disillusionment set in, all I could see was just a time waster, a way to get me to spend more time in their raid.
What I liked about it that was an answer to a problem in previous raids was that it takes the timing away from, in previous raids there's always the exotic chests and the secret chests and all those things, and you had to get them at certain times and by doing certain things. And so everybody's always trying to rush, get there, like not trying to slow anybody down. One guy can't get through the platforming section. It takes the timing out of that and turns it into a central hub. So I've been trying to encourage my team to do this at least, and they all complain, but we do the underbelly part after everything is finished. So that...
Yeah, I've seen more and more people do that.
Yeah, and so that you're not worried about, like, if somebody's getting lost, they're holding up the whole group, or you're struggling to find a thing, you don't end up, oh crap, we just spent an hour and a half in there, we haven't done Calus, and now it's 1 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yeah.
You go do it later.
No, absolutely.
And you can come back, even if your team can't stick around and do it, you can come back later and do it on your own time, I thought that was a pro player decision, but I see where you're coming from with it.
Absolutely. No, I played with a raid team that did that as well, and I thought that it kept the flow of the game moving much better. Well,
I've been really happy to hear like your opinions on everything here. I'll be interested to talk more in depth with you about all this when the Prestige raid comes out, and we can kind of put our final nails in the coffin of this conversation.
I'm looking forward to that quite a bit. The Prestige raid. I think it's going to be. Man, I hope I'm not putting too many eggs in one basket.
I feel the same way, but I don't think we've ever been too terribly disappointed with their heroic versions of the raid. I think they've done a good job. So I think that we can feel confident that they're gonna do us right by that and give us another level of challenge to mantle. Let's hope. And maybe
fingers crossed. Fingers crossed on this end.
All right. Well, we're running super late on time this week. I bet you're tired.
Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah, I'm tuckered out over here.
Let's do some DirtFam discourse. We got one email we'll read real quick, and then we'll wrap this baby up. We got an email from Taylor. You want to read this for us, Blue? You want to read?
Oh, jeez. Make me put my glasses on.
Oh, let's see.
Hang on.
This one's... I'll read it.
Oh my gosh, it's even like the tiniest font ever, too. Hang on. Okay. Oh my gosh, I can't say that. Top of the morning to you, lads. Oh my God, you made it bigger. Okay, let me, okay. Top of the morning to you, lads. I wanted to throw my 2 cents in the hat about the story and a question for you as well. The overall story arc is so much more fluid and satisfying than the previous installment. The depth of raw emotion from Ikora Rey and Zavala mixed with sassy attitude of Hawthorne sprinkled with the lightheartedness comedy of Cade 6 was the perfect gumbo to the story. That was so well worded. I'm very impressed. And I do love me some gumbo. You know what I mean? Right, Cyborg? Anyways, I wanted to ask you about a hunter exotic that seems to be taking the world by storm. It's the Orpheus Rig. I truly believe that this is the best possible exotic for Night Stalkers ever. To get that much super energy back from one shot of the bow, only to be rewarded with another shot, is tremendously helpful in PvE. Plus, the orb generation and crowd controlling effect is a fantastic bonus as well. So my question for you is, do you think this is on the chopping block for an incoming balancing patch, or will it stay as intended? Thanks, guys, for keeping up the great work.
That was from Taylor. Thank you, Taylor, for the email.
Thank you, Taylor.
I enjoyed the story a lot. I think they did a good job. I think it was good for what they.
I enjoyed the story a lot as well. I liked it. I like it even more after that description. That was very well worded.
Yeah, I think I like it twice as much.
I like that quite a bit.
What do you think about Orpheus Rig? So I haven't built a hunter yet. I mean, I've spent plenty of time around hunters that have been using this and love it to death. What do you think about this exotic piece?
So I actually just figured it out today because I was running the 6-shot or whatever multi-shot. Yeah. And I was sitting there going, this doesn't work. What everyone's raving about these things, it doesn't work. Turns out with the multi-shot, as you hit things, it actually gives you your super back while it's live, so you can keep shooting, but eventually you run out of enemies. And so that's what was happening to me. When I switched to the single shot, I was just getting my super back, and it was great. It's a lot of fun. I don't think it's game breaking or anything. I will say, because now that I've experienced this game on both consoles and how poorly optimized it is on Xbox, it does cause some issues in some heroic events. Where you have people throwing tons of these shadow shots around, and your frames just piece out on Xbox. It's really unfortunate, frankly. Member frames. I remember frames. It's really unfortunate, though, in my opinion, that's the case because, there's tons of people on Xbox that enjoy this game. But, besides the effects of the Orpheus Rig on my hardware, they might nerf it because it does make a lot of orbs, but I haven't seen it do anything. It might make public events easier. I don't think it affects the raid that strongly. Because in the raid, you're either flying through it at this point or you're still wiping a lot. And if you're wiping, then those orbs go away. So I think that
I don't think it's game breaking.
I think it's a really good.
I think it's awesome.
No, not at all.
I think they meant it to be awesome. Striker Titan has a perk, even without an exotic chest piece, that allows you just to keep slamming if you kill enemies when you slam. I think they just look at it as supers are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be effective. They know how we use those particular supers. And they're like, how can we make this even more fun? How can we give them the tool to accomplish what they want, which is, let's look at Calus. The reason everybody's running Night Stalker and Calus is so that they can put on Orpheus Rig and kill the first wave of enemies, immediately get their super back for when they need it for the boss. It's perfect for that reason. I think it serves a purpose. I don't think it's broken.
Quick public service announcement, and don't quote me on this because I could be wrong, but my raid team are full of Redditors. I'm not a Reddit guy, and apparently it's going around Reddit that Shadow Shot no longer affects bosses in the raid.
That is, I'm anecdotally going to confirm that we've stopped running Shadow Shot on Calus and haven't seen much of a difference. What we have been doing,
we didn't use it at all,
is getting our hunters to run, what's the helmet? The one shot.
Golden Gun with, now I've lost it too, you monster.
It starts with a C. Celestial Nighthawk. Whew. Big damage. Big damage.
I ran the Nightfall I have it on PlayStation, and I ran the Nightfall with guided games. Actually, had my first experience in guided games today, and or I was being the guided one.
Oh wow!
Although it felt like I was doing most of the guiding. And the final boss, that room is tough.
It is, yeah.
This week in the Nightfall, and when I got that super up, my first shot off with the Celestial Nighthawk, I did 1/3 of the damage.
Wow! Yeah,
like. It was insane. I shot it. Was like, oh, who else shot rockets?
It was
they're dead.
Originally intended to be, like, just super effective and powerful, right?
You're combining your exotic armor with your super ability. Like, you are taking, because you could put that into anything else. Yeah, you have one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. This opportunity comes once in a raid.
Mom spaghetti.
Sorry. Mom spaghetti.
No, but I think it's great. I mean, talking about exotics, I mean, they've got some where they really knocked it out of the park, and there's some that just are lackluster that I hope they bring up, because they did such a great job with some of these,
Absolutely.
All right. Well, if you've got some Dirt Fam discourse, you want to posit a question or send some commentary, even give it a shout out to somebody that did something positive for you in the community, send us an email, destinyresetpodcast@gmail.com, or SpeakPipe. It's like a voicemail, speakpipe.com/destinyreset. Next up, got to give some shout outs to our patrons. We don't have any new patrons this week, but thank you to all of you who have continued to be a patron. New patrons get a shout out in this part of the show. You also get your name placed on our website as a patron. If you'd like to support us, you can do it for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/destinyreset. We appreciate all your help in helping produce this show. Thanks so much.
Well done, guys.
Well done. All right, man. Let's wrap this up. Let's get out of here, go to bed. Where can people find
bedtime? You guys can find me if you just go on the internet and type in "I'm the Blue Ranger" and hit enter on that Google browser that everybody has. You're gonna find me, but most iconically would be twitch.tv/ImTheBlueRanger. Also on Twitter at ImTheBlueRanger, YouTube I'm the Blue Ranger, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube. I said that, Facebook, everywhere.
All the things.
All of the things. So look me up on there. Put me in your chain on LinkedIn. I'm kidding. That's not a thing.
Not that thing.
Seriously, I'm all over the place, and I appreciate this. I believe this would be my 11th time on the show.
Nice.
I have to keep track now so that I don't. I got to.
You have
everything's staying in order.
Pocket knife that you carve tick marks into a wall, don't you?
Yeah. No, I put it on my bedpost. I actually put it on. Yeah, on my bedpost.
You kiss it every night before you go to bed.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It's just DRP with little hash marks underneath it. It's top notch.
You can find me at CyborgSasquatch on Twitter and Twitch. Come on by. I'm streaming Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday nights, and other nights when I feel like it. You can finally find us at Destiny Reset on Twitter, and if you want to go on to the World Wide Web and find links to pretty much everything, DRP, go to www.destinyresetpodcast.com, including links to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast app of choice. And that's all. That's all, folks. Thanks for coming on by, Blues. Good to have you again, man. I missed you a lot.
It was a pleasure.
Glad you're back on the show again. We'll see you again soon.
Yay!
Until next week, have fun playing Destiny 2, and take care, Guardians.